Hey, Monte with Scoopnos Novos Jelenia with you here answering questions that I get from people when I talk to them on the street. And by far, the most popular question I get is about the existence of God and how some people might say there's no proof of God. And when you talk about absolute proof, now, no, I would never say that I could show you absolute proof that will remove any doubt that you have. Now, I am quite sure that I can show you reasonable proof that there is a supreme being that we call God. And I also believe that once you see this reasonable proof, it'll give you an opportunity to set aside some of those remaining doubts and perhaps take a step in accepting the possibility of God. So now let's talk about some of those reasonable proofs. There's many arguments for God. One is the argument from creation. The real scientific evidence entirely agrees with the idea that the universe had a beginning. Now, logic tells us that nothing can never produce something. That is totally against any principle in science. Nothing can't really do anything. That would be a real step of faith to believe that nothing can produce something. And we can see that when we use logic. It's much easier to believe that an intelligent designer created the universe from nothing than it is to say that nothing spontaneously and without outside intervention created something. Again, using logic. Now, some would say if it did not come from nothing, then it must be eternal. Well, there's bad news about that point of view also. That's not scientific. Newton's second law of thermodynamics says that the universe is running out of usable energy. And if something is running out, then it could not be eternal. That means a creator outside of creation is necessary. The complexity of the building blocks of life also point us to an intelligent designer in the same way that watches point to watchmakers, buildings point to architects, and paintings need artists. Also, you can see the greater the design, the greater the designer. The vast number of different specific conditions for the existence of life on Earth, that completely baffles scientists. The universe, according to the atheistic science, shouldn't care whether life exists or not. Why then do we see so many of its fundamental parameters seem to be set to the exact values needed for our existence? How does this happen by chance? And again, how is it created from nothing? So, every evolutionary scientist will tell you that the processes for their natural selection, they're mindless. They're not driven in any certain direction. But that is directly opposite to what the elaborate designs we see in nature directly in front of us say. The reality is this: we should not be here according to most scientists. But we are here. And it's an excellent example of fine-tuning, which again points to a designer. And when you start with the assumption that there must be a natural explanation, because that's those who deny the existence of God, you are then forced to reject any evidence, as obvious as it may be, that does not fit into your argument or model. And that's not real objective analysis or science. When we use logic, common sense, and accept all the possible alternatives without a pre-selected mindset, it forces us to accept an intelligent designer. That it's not only possible, but the only real conclusion. Now, instead of thinking about what about the existence of God, maybe the question you should be thinking about is, what if there is no God? If there's no God, then there's no morality, no concept of right and wrong. But you see, these are built into us. They're not learned. or community concepts like some people suggest. If there is no God, then ultimately our lives are meaningless and without purpose. And that's what philosophers will tell you. And they're also quite certain that we don't even have freedom to make choices for ourselves. We don't have free will. And if you could have free will, then there's no option for what you should do. And evolution cannot allow for that. They don't say these things out loud very often because it's so ridiculous to even think about. But Richard Dawkins, he's a rock star for atheism. He once said this: "Why don't we laugh at a judge who punishes a criminal? Doesn't a truly scientific, mechanistic view of the nervous system make nonsense of the idea of responsibility?" And when someone asked him about this, he admitted that he does not practice what he preaches. He does hold people responsible for their actions. In his words, he said, "I blame people. I give people credit." And the person who was questioning him said, "But don't you see the inconsistency in your views and what you say?" And his reply was, "Yeah, I do, but it's an inconsistency that we sort of have to live with. Otherwise, life would be intolerable." Those are the words of Richard Dawkins. And that's the best explanation that atheism has to give you. It's essentially, we should act like there is right and wrong, even though we know they don't really exist. Now, is that easier to believe than the truth that there is right and wrong? And if that is true, then the fact that we had to come from something outside of the system, a lawgiver. So if atheism's idea that we're a collection of just chemical responses, we really don't have freedom to choose for ourselves, what does that say about love or respect or honor or justice? See, in the end, their words just don't make sense with actual life as we live it. Now, maybe you think there's no proof of God because of the actions of someone who supposedly represented God. I'm talking about certain church leaders. And I must admit, many terrible things have been done by those who say they are the voice of God. And sadly, that is a risk of humans having free will. People can, and too many times they do things that are wrong. But in the same way that we don't blame a judge if someone commits a murder, we should not blame God if someone does something terrible. And so to carry that thought out further, it should comfort us to know that because there is a God, no one gets away with anything, whether they're caught or not. It could be that maybe you reject the idea of God because if he does exist, that would be a terrifying thought, that you might be one day accountable to him. And to avoid that accountability, you line yourself up with this inconsistent belief that there is no God. You do that because of what you've been told, without ever taking the time to reason it out logically for yourself. It's funny that people who believe in God, the God of the Bible, they're the ones called naive and simple, when actually we're the ones who follow logic. There is proof of God when you're totally objective and approach all evidence in a logical, common sense way without swallowing the assumptions and inconsistent explanations of so-called science. Now, I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan, and so many quotes from his very focused mind are really important to all aspects of life. My favorite quote from Sherlock Holmes is, "When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, regardless of how improbable, it must be the truth." So in these few minutes, we've talked about the impossibility of atheism. What we're left with is the existence of God. However improbable you might think it is, it must be true. And I want to end this video by challenge anyone watching this. Maybe you're a skeptic, maybe you're unsure. I want to challenge you to do this. Pray. Pray and ask God, if He is real, to show Himself to you in a real and clear way. Now, I warn you, be prepared for His response. And when He does respond, it is then on you to choose how you move forward with this information of the reality of God. If there's another question that you might have, or you want to go deeper into this question, please reach out to us. We would love to sit down and talk to you. Follow the QR code at the end of this video, and you'll understand ways that you can contact us. So until the next video, God bless you.